Earlier today, Janet Hogman, Chief People Officer of EDF Energy, popped into the studio. Games Time TV were keen to get her thoughts on the Paralympics and, more importantly, the group and company approach to inclusion in the workplace. Janet, welcome to Games Time Television. What's your take on the London 2012 Olympics so far?
I think it's been absolutely brilliant. The Olympics themselves were absolutely fantastic, but the Paralympics are limbering up to be even better, I think. I was really lucky. I went to the opening ceremony of the Paralympics, and I really had thought that the ceremonies for the Olympics couldn't be bettered. And although it was just completely weird and bonkers, I thought it was brilliant and set the tone in terms of its content and the messages for the rest of the couple of weeks that we're about to experience.
What are your hopes for the Paralympic Games? Do you think it'll start to change people's perceptions?
I really do, actually. I mean, honestly, it started to change my own perceptions, and someone else articulated it the other day, and I heard it and I thought, actually, that's exactly how I feel, because rather than feeling that the Paralympic athletes are disabled people who are athletes, I'm feeling now like the London 2012 experience is already changing my perception. I'm quite sure others into realising that these are people who are athletes who happen to have a disability. And that's quite fundamental, actually, and I think is a big, big change and has been achieved by London 2012.
And do you think that begins to change the public's perception of disability as well?
I think it has to. And I'm hoping it will change all our perceptions, I mean, within the company as well. I mean, I'm really, really keen that we build on these changes of perceptions as part of our legacy going forward in EDF Energy, and yeah, I think it will.
What are your thoughts on diversity and inclusion within the company, and why is it important?
Well, I'd like to answer the second question first, really. I mean, I think diversity and inclusion is incredibly important, and actually I would personally prefer to say inclusion and diversity because everything starts from there. And I think we've all had experiences where we felt included, and as a result we can deliver our best, and that's what I want for everybody in this company, whatever their sort of visible difference, to feel included so that they can deliver their best. And diversity is a sort of convenient sort of, well, it's a fact really. We are all diverse, some of us in more visible ways than others. So whilst diversity is a fact and something that we need to use as a sort of proxy perhaps for a spirit of inclusion, the fundamental thing I want to achieve in EDF Energy is that everybody feels included.
So how does what we're doing in EDF Energy relate to the wider EDF group?
Well, it relates pretty closely actually, because only a few months ago the group invited us all to participate in a sort of inclusion and diversity conference, which was a recognition that we need to do more across the group. I mean, the group's huge, it's 160,000 people. I mean, obviously most of them are in France, but not all. And we had this kick-off conference whereupon I, for example, and others from EDF Energy were really trying to explain to our colleagues across the group the nature of inclusion as opposed to just diversity. And that was an interesting moment in itself because, of course, there isn't a word for inclusion in many languages, including French. So the concept is quite new. However, the group are very keen to embrace that concept alongside diversity. And as things have evolved, we've agreed that we're going to set up an international network for inclusion and diversity, and that it's going to have a rolling presidency, if you like, and EDF Energy, acknowledging we're sort of in the vanguard here within the group, is going to be taking on the first leadership role within that. So I think there's going to be lots of stuff going on, much of which is going to be based on what we're doing here. Not all of which is going to be based on what we're doing here, because obviously others have got some great experience too, but realistically, yeah, we're sort of in the lead in the group, I say.
So, do you think things will ever be the same again after the 2012 Paralympics?
Actually, I don't. It's a bit like a Pandora's box, isn't it? Once you've seen something, experienced it, had your own attitudes challenged, as this Paralympics has done for everybody, I think, you can't close it again. You know, by definition, you've changed the way you're thinking. And I absolutely am convinced that's been the case for most of us already. And I think it's going to be even more reinforced over the next couple of weeks. And I really, really hope that we can take some of that into our EDF Energy legacy as well. We're already planning to implement a Paralympics Careers Day for Paralympians who wish to retire and enter the world of work. You know, we're hoping we can attract a lot of those people and match them with roles in our business. But that's only just a small thing. But I mean, I'm really, really keen that we sort of switch our attention once we've got the gold. I'm being a bit ambitious here, but once we've got the gold standard this year, and let's be confident and say we will. There's been a lot of work behind that, great work, and when we need to keep that gold standard, but I'd like to then think that we're starting to turn our sights on really building on the legacy of the Paralympics, and in particular the area of disability, because I think there's an awful lot of talent out there and we're only scratching the surface of it.
Janet, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was really interesting and actually makes you feel proud that we are leading the way across Europe in this socially important area. It shows that we can all benefit from working in an inclusive workplace.